Everyone, sorry we're a little late. It is the regularly scheduled February 28th meeting of the Radnor School Board. The first order of business will be our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll report on an executive session that happened just before this meeting. I was not present in. It was to discuss legal matters. We have no students here this evening, so our first official action will be a report from our superintendent. It will be his first formal board meeting. Mr. Batchelor.
Thank you, Mr. Falcone. Thank you. And our students, yeah, that was rousing. Thank you, Mr. Miller. And our student apologizes for not being here tonight. He was involved in a rehearsal for the Wizard of Oz, for the musical. So I will, Mr. Petiti will move some slides for me in a moment, but before I do, I just want to start by thanking the Teachers Association for their wonderful dinner tonight, and thank them for inviting the board and for recognizing the board and for holding off on the dinner until I arrived. Last month being Board Recognition Month, I just want to and reiterate both what the association shared and from the administration, just thank all the board members for all you do and for your service. And for a personal piece, I would just like to thank all the board for the manner in which you conducted your search for a new superintendent. Obviously, I'm biased to the manner in which you conducted it, but I just want to thank you. I know there was a lot of time, a lot of energy was spent, and I was very pleased to learn, and excited about the direction that this board is looking to go. And all of you have the students of Radnor Township School District in your hearts, and I just thank you for all your time and efforts and all you do, and for helping bring me here. I want to start by sharing a couple of things here on for my. I think there we go. So the second graders at Ithan provided me with, thank you. I didn't have I am a rookie here. My screen was not operating. The second graders at Ithan provided me with not only advice, but well wishes. And I received letters from all of the second graders, which was really kind. And these are just example of some of the letters, 6 of the letters they sent. On the next slide, you'll see they asked me many questions, so I've had an opportunity to go meet with some of those second graders and answer some of their questions. And one of the ones that I enjoyed the most was, can we have more time for recess? One of them especially said, Mr. Batchelor, please, at least one more minute. So one more minute will do it. So you will hear stories of me going over to Ithan and extending recess one day for 1 minute for some of those students, I think. And I tried not to change anything they wrote, so you can see even how they wrote some of their questions. On the next slide, they gave me some advice. And some of the advice the students gave me was about being friendly and cheerful. Treat people with kindness. Make sure everything runs smoothly. You don't want a huge ruckus. This was one of my favorites. Stay organized. A big mess that you have to clean up would be dreadful. It really made me reflect as a parent, what are the things I say to my children at home, and how are they? I have decided not to haunt those parents with this, but what am I saying? I also loved you're going to have a bunch of fun here at Radnor. I think that the second graders' advice it's been a good reminder for me, and I think it's a good reminder for all of us to heed their words of advice first off about kindness. I had one student talk to me about how impressed they were at how kind their school is and how kind the community is. And I think that even as we have difficult moments together, or we have challenges, or we disagree, but the importance of kindness, and even for me as an administrator, that importance of kindness, even though we have to hold people accountable and we have to move our organization forward, we can do that in a kind way. And that's one of the things that the second graders reminded me of. And also to have fun. We're in a wonderful organization in education, and we should be able to have fun as we do this as well. So besides the advice from our second graders, there's been a lot of wonderful things going on in our district. And you can see from some of the pictures there, some of the things that have been happening in our district that I just want to highlight. At Radnor High School, 177 current and former students were named Advanced Placement Scholars. Our district was also named to the College Board's annual AP District Honor Roll for the second straight year. I want to congratulate to the AP teachers, students, and all other staff members who worked hard for those honors. The district celebrated diversity, culture, and tradition during each school's annual International Week at the beginning of February. You can see some of the pictures on the screen. Students at Ithan celebrated its 13th International Week, and Wayne celebrated its 10th, experiencing the sights, sounds, and tastes of Brazil, while students at Radnor celebrated its 4th. They enjoyed a trip to Germany. I want to thank all our parent-teacher organizations and Parent-Teacher Student Association for putting on these diverse educational activities for our students. And I just also want to highlight our schools also held activities in honor of Black History Month. At Radnor High School, we had 9 speakers of various backgrounds and careers. They held small group conversations with students over 2 days last week. The presenters included a former member of the Radnor ABC House who now works for disadvantaged youth in Philadelphia, a Villanova professor, an accomplished athlete and businessman, a Verizon executive, a football player and trainer, and Muhammad Ali's daughter, Kalila Wertheimer, was there as well. At Wayne Elementary, all classrooms participated in African American read-in, a tradition that's part of the month's celebration featuring the works of African American authors. And I also just want to mention that our elementary schools also will be holding their annual science fairs. And I had the chance to join the staff at Ithan for Yellow Day, which was very exciting, to usher in the warm weather. And on Friday, they had Yellow Day, and the 50th Yellow Day, and it couldn't have been a more perfect day for Yellow Day with the weather we had on Friday. Upcoming events, I won't go through them all, but since our student is not here tonight, I just thought I'd highlight a few. And as everyone knows, The Wizard of Oz is coming up. There is a training for our parents this weekend that the administrators have been sharing, that if parents who need that training is available on March 4th. And then we also have shows going on at our other buildings as well coming up. And the next item I wanted to just quickly mention for the board and thank the board really. The board moved very quickly to come together to put together a resolution to oppose the elimination of school property tax. I think it was a real example of the board coming together and working together as a unit, working together with the Teachers Association as well. Mr. Falcone and myself and the Teachers Association have put out a letter encouraging parents and encouraging our staff to go to our website to learn more about the proposal, and also there's a sample letter for others to get involved as well. And then I wanted to mention just board news, the Radnor Reader. Mr. Petiti, thank you, Mr. Petiti, and the administrative team for putting this together. They've put together a new update to the Radnor Reader, which will give our community an update on what is going on at board meetings. We're going to actually still adjust it even as we move forward, but we wanted to share a summary each week of what's coming up and also what has taken place at board meetings. I'm also hoping board members, maybe this is the opportunity we're looking for to maybe eliminate some of the time that was spent on committee reports during meetings, since it'll all be on the web. That might be a help for efficiency for our meetings. And then Dr. Rabarczyk. We wanted to congratulate Dr. Rabarczyk. We have a new doctor in the house. I did ask him for a script for back pain, so he's going to get back to me on that. But we want to congratulate Tony. He defended last week, and we're really happy for him. So congratulations, Tony. And then just quickly a thank you. You'll see on the board agenda are all the board members and public to see. We have many donations this month, from Patient First to the Radnor Middle School PTO to the Radnor Educational Foundation, and all of those proposals that have moved forward. The generosity of all these groups is just overwhelming. Their support is very much appreciated, and their partnerships and support is what I think helps make our district so strong. So I want to thank them for their donations. And that's all I have for my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Batchelor. We will now ask for public comment. The citizens are encouraged to address the board during this period of public comment on portions of the meeting, on the agenda, or other topics related to Radnor Township School District. We ask that you please print your name in the back on the table, and then when you come to the microphone, if you would state your name, your street address, and the topic to be addressed. we ask that individuals limit their comment to 4 minutes per our new board policy. Should you be unable to attend the board meeting, we ask that you submit your comment by email to boardquestions@rtsd.org or in written form to Mr. Michael Petiti, Radnor Township School District, 135 South Wayne Avenue, Wayne, Pennsylvania, 19087. So we'd love to hear from the public at this point. Welcome, all the way from Unionville.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jeff Hellrung, and I live at 221 Katsura Drive in Kennett Square. I'm a board member at the Unionville Chadds School District, and I came to see Mr. Batchelor sit in his superintendent's chair with great joy, and to congratulate the board for the process you went through and for your excellent judgment in hiring Ken. If anyone at Radnor cannot get along with Ken, I suspect they're going to have trouble getting along with anyone. I think you're really blessed to have him, and he'll be a wonderful leader for you. I also wanted to tell Ken and the board that I believe tomorrow night the Unionville Chadds Ford School District starts school later committee, which has been meeting diligently since the summer, will make their final meeting and will report out recommending a 25-minute delay in school start times for our middle school and high school students. It's been a difficult process. I mention this tonight because it was inspired by and led by Mr. Batchelor. So just in case anyone in Radnor has noticed the growing scientific consensus about the importance of teenage sleep and how later start times can alleviate that and can lead to many, many academic benefits, health benefits, emotional benefits. Just in case you've noticed that, you have an expert as your new superintendent who I'm sure can help. And lastly, it just occurred to me that last Thursday, Julia Lithcott-Hames, a former dean of students from Stanford University, who wrote a book called How to Raise an Adult, which is a fabulous best-selling book, was here at Unionville Chadds Ford in person speaking to about 500 community members about her message. And her message about helping children become their authentic selves, develop self-efficacy, and advice in terms of how to raise them and help them grow and support your schools is a wonderful message. Her connection with the audience was great. Her use of humor was fabulous. And when she was done speaking, it was an instant standing ovation from 500 people. That videotape is on our webpage, ucfsd.org, and the quality of the video is good. So I would recommend it, and I would think if a few of you watched it, then pretty soon a few hundred of you would watch it. So that's my message, and well done, Mr. Batchelor, well done, Radnor.
Mr. Hellrung, thank you for coming down here tonight, and thank you very much for sharing Mr. Batchelor with us, and for all your work to prepare Mr. Batchelor. We are the appreciative recipients of that hard work.
You should have seen him when we first got him.
Thank you.
Mr. Hellrung and I go way back. I think it was 96, 97, I taught his daughter in high school social studies. And thank you, Jeff. It's great to see you. And thank you for all your guidance over the years.
Dr. Winters, welcome.
Thank you. Roberta Winters, 326 Williams Road, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Batchelor on behalf of the League of Women Voters, in which I'm the president, and then I would like to take the rest of my time and speak as an individual about local board procedures in terms of the policy regarding governance, board governance standards, and code of conduct. And I just would like to commend the board for putting together this policy and encourage board members and potential board members, since this is the beginning of election season, to familiarize yourself with these standards and codes, and hopefully remember to review them annually, perhaps as a regular part of a board meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Roberta. Welcome.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening. I'm Margaret Hondros from 691 Darby Paoli Road in Villanova. And this evening I wanted, oh, good. And to my left is Kathy Mayer, and to my right, G1 Deputy. We are 3 of the 6 board members of the Radnor Committee for Special Education. And we have previously addressed the school board to announce our formation of the Radnor Committee for Special Education, but I thought it would be a good time tonight to just come and give you a brief update on our activity since our formation. By way of background, the Radnor Committee for Special Ed was formed in 2015 as a volunteer parent-led organization to serve the 500-plus families of children in grades K through 12 who reside in Radnor Township School District and who have special education needs. To date, we have had 6 parent-led education meetings on topics identified by our family surveys. At those meetings, we've had over 75 parents attend. We have fully attained our 501c3 status. We currently meet every 2 months with Kevin Kane and or Jenny Lesage in the Student Services Department. And the main purpose of that is to maintain an open door of communication and, try and strike a collaborative conversation with the district regarding special education. We recently partnered with the Radnor Township Recreation Department to launch the township's first basketball challenger league. We're very excited about this. There are over 15 children participating in the league, and the games are on Sundays at 1 o'clock at Radnor Elementary School, and we invite all of you to stop by and see the games in action before they end on March 15th. And our hope is that the basketball league is just the beginning of many other recreational sports activities for children with disabilities who are interested in playing sports. We also wanted to share with you the goals of the Radnor Committee for Special Education. And really, we've set these goals out and feel very, stand by them and feel very important about them. First, we hope to support and build a community for parents of children in the township, in the school township, who have special education needs, because having a special education diagnosis, we feel, can be very isolating. The second thing is that we hope we can help educate special education parents in Radnor Township School District to be better informed. And we also, the third thing, want to work with the school district to build a strong, gold standard special education program. At this time, we know the school board is reviewing programs and starting the budgeting process for the 2017-18 school year. So we ask that you remember that 15% of the Radnor Township School District students have IEPs and that they each deserve to have the academic as well as extracurricular programs that they need to be successful and to graduate from Radnor and be a well-prepared and contributing member to society and go out and represent Radnor proudly, just as every other graduating student does. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Hondros. Thank you very much for what you're doing and all your time you're putting into it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Dave, can I ask them a question?
Sure.
Thank you. I know other organizations have board liaisons that meet with them. Is that, because I was listening to your goals, would that be one of your goals when you say to get a more interactive between us
We would.
and you?
We have requested that. We meet with Kevin and Jenny every 2 months. And yes, we did ask to meet with them as well as have a board liaison with us. We haven't gotten an answer back from that, but I think
Well, you
trying
can-
to make that happen.
We've requested it, and I think it's part of the formation of
There's some
the
kind of a policy issue. I just
Yes.
wanted to bring that up
Thank
front.
you.
I would offer my services if you would accept me. I recently retired, and I'm very interested in special education, and I've talked to you before about this, so I'd like to talk with the board. I think this is something that we need to move upon, but if it's the policy that needs to be pushed, then we'll have to push the policy committee, so we want it done.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Did
Thank
request
you.
a year ago, so, yes.
Mhm.
And regarding the policy, I know that there were some concerns about making sure we kind of had our ducks in a row as a parent-led organization. So the good news is that we have been granted our 501c3. We have our bylaws in place, so we are ready to go. In fact, whenever the district passes the policy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we will move to committee reports. Committee chairpersons may report on items pertinent to the agenda or of general importance to board business. The first committee will be curriculum. Mrs. Michelson.
I need a mic.
Sure.
Thank you. The Curriculum Committee met Tuesday, February 14th, and we had a fairly aggressive agenda. Most significantly, we discussed the 2017-18 academic calendar. We did give feedback on this and sent it back to the administration. One of the concerns about the calendar as it was presented is a particularly large number of half-days. And so we've asked the administrators to go back and see if we can't reduce that number, recognizing that it's disruptive to parents who have work and schedules. And so that is a work in process, and we'll be coming back to the committee. We also got I thought, a very nice presentation on English language programming as part of the audit. There was an update on curriculum department goals, and finally, the religious objection to state assessments is something that everyone needs to be aware of. Upcoming PSSA and Keystone assessments, in order to there is no reason that you can just pull your child out unless there is a religious objection, and there is a specific protocol to be followed by the parents. The district wants everyone who's eligible to take the tests, quite frankly. It is helpful for us. It's helpful for the way we are scored. It's helpful for the way we are compared. But if you do have a religious objection, go to the website and you'll see the material that is, or the protocol that's been set up to, you must go in, you must look at the exam, you must file a letter, and there are certain time frames for this. So I just alert you to that if that is an issue for you. Otherwise, I think that's about it. Thank you.
Next will be facilities. Mrs. Solomon.
Yeah, thank you.
Excuse me,
Facilities.
for
I'm
one
sorry.
second. Would it be appropriate, based on Susan's recap of the curriculum committee meeting, for me to just follow up and mention that there's a meeting tomorrow night that's open to anybody? It's technically for parents. It's the first ever district-wide PTO meeting. But I think anybody in the community is welcome to come if they want to learn more about what Susan was talking about in terms of the upcoming standardized testing period. It's at 6:30 at the Radnor Middle School, LGI, I believe.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Okay, thank you. The Facilities Committee met on February 14th. We received administrative remarks regarding the trail. I believe it's under review by the township solicitor at this current time. We were also informed about just answering some questions about the parking spots at the high school. There were 3 official items on our agenda. The first one was an update on the Ithan playground. What caused the problems at the Ithan playground was explained to us. There was a retention basin in the area that had failed, and this then causing water damage on the Ithan property. The new playground, they're busy working on it, and it is scheduled to be ready for the start of fall 2017. Second item on the agenda was an update on the punch list for the Ithan Elementary School and Wayne Elementary School construction. It is mostly completed. And the third item on the agenda was a lengthy discussion of the capital plan in preparation for this year's budget. And I just want to bring to your attention a large ticket item on that, being the high school bleacher project. That's about it. Our next meeting will be held March 14th at 5 p.m.
Thanks, Lydia.
Lydia, I have a question on this one. There's an item on our agenda approving that site project bid. Is it appropriate for me to ask a question about this now, or is it better to pull it from the agenda? Ask it now. I just noticed that the awarded bidder is quite the low-cost bidder, and I just wondered if you had any additional commentary about that.
I do not. I'm going to ask Michelle. I know Todd's not here.
And I could jump in quickly, too, and then Michelle can also jump in.
Yeah, we didn't receive any more information about that.
Yeah, I know Michelle and her department have not only reviewed them carefully, have also checked references on all of the, on this particular contractor and found out that they have worked at, even other school districts and other municipalities, and everything has been actually very positive. And then we are also working with 2, I believe, engineering firms that have also been part of that selection process. So we feel very comfortable with the selection.
That's all I wanted to hear.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lydia. Might as well leave this over here.
Oh, right, finance. Oh, good grief, I lost my page. Here we are. The Finance Committee met on February 21st, and we discussed the following topics. We are going ahead and approving a contract tonight to engage board docs, which we hope will vastly improve our accuracy and formatting and transmission of information over the internet and for the board from all the various departments and areas that provide input to the agendas for this meeting and all the supporting documents. It's an impressive package, and I think we felt that it was long overdue, so we'll look forward to that. We discussed the potential funds also for, as regards the budget. Act 1 exceptions, we talked about what we could receive for state basic and special education funding, and we also discovered that we are going to lose some funds for transportation funding. So we discussed that entire conversation. We talked about the capital budget, as Lydia just made reference to, the big item there, and one that we have some discussion about is the high school outside football bleachers, or the Inky bleachers, I should say. And we will currently need $1,118,000 to close our budget. So this is going to be an important area of discussion as we move forward in our budget discussions. Next, we had a brief discussion and update on the Citizens Advisory Committee. They have met 3 times and will be first presenting their initial findings and their initial work at our Finance Committee meeting in March. And that meeting, by the way, will be taking place on March 28th rather than the expected March 21st, as our administrators are going to be away at the PASBO conference in Pittsburgh. And we had an update on substitute teachers. We realize that this is an ongoing frustration for many, many, many parents in the community. The substitute teacher problem has origins that go far beyond Radnor. We are one of, I think, every school district in the state for certain that is dealing with this. We are looking into options, alternatives, tightening up. It is a subject that is constantly before us. So we share your frustration, and we are working on it. And then finally, we agreed to waive the $750 fee that we have charged the Radnor Education Foundation as rental space in the administration building. We concluded that because we are the recipients every year of $100,000 or more in gifting from them, that it just seemed like the right thing to do. So I believe that's on our agenda tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Next will be policy.
Yes,
Ms.
the
Stern.
Policy Committee met February 14th. We have 2 action items on our agenda tonight. Number 12 is a first read for policies 005, organization, and 11, board governance and Code of Conduct Standards. And action item number 13, agenda item number 13 is Policy 104, Non-Discrimination in Employment and Contract Practices. This is for second read and approval tonight, and our next meeting will be March 14th. And just regarding the public comment about Policy 915, which has to do with outside organizations, that is a policy that will shortly be coming up for review at the Policy Committee. So we've had a lot of state mandated and some federal changes that really unfortunately bumped that particular policy, and we were anxious for Mr. Batchelor to come on board and have an opportunity to review the policy as it exists now, and we are hoping to deal with that very shortly. So, and to be able to provide a clear and consistent process for outside community groups and district community groups to understand, how they'll be handled at the district level. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Next will be Government Relations and Communications. Mrs. Goldman. Mr. Madden.
I think one of the highlights of our GRCC meeting was the fact that we had 2 new attendees at our meeting. Mr. Batchelor, I think we had the honor of having you as a first-time committee member, board committee meeting member, and we also were happy to welcome a new teacher representative, Amy McNally. So that really got our meeting off to a great start. So those 2 people, along with Liz Dustin, our student representative, really made for a nice meeting a couple weeks ago. It was on Tuesday, February 14th. Our first agenda item was we received an update on the status of the creation of our brand new communications policy. Mr. Petiti has been hard at work for a while on this annual goal that we've set for this year, and we'll be reporting out on much more of this at the March 14th GRCC meeting, where he will share copies of the staff and parent state of communication surveys that he's designed and will be sent out shortly after that meeting. He'll also be sharing a first draft of the new communications policy and an outline for the accompanying ARs. Our second agenda item was we had a follow-up discussion to the board resolution Mr. Batchelor referred to earlier tonight that we recently passed opposing the most recent proposal from the legislature to eliminate property taxes. At the meeting, we brainstormed ways to continue to get the word out to our community to join us in these efforts and even collaborate with the many other districts around the state that have passed similar resolutions. We have heard back from some of the 40 legislators to whom we sent the resolution, and we'll continue to revisit this topic at our March 14th meeting to measure community and legislative response so far. So if you haven't sent in your letters, please do so before the 14th. We are also delighted that RTEA has also officially joined our advocacy efforts, so thank you to the faculty for supporting this. The third agenda item we discussed was that the Pennsylvania Senate Education Committee had just met prior to our meeting, and 2 pieces of legislation had passed out of committee. One was Senate Bill 227, which had to do with superintendent contract renewals, and Senate Bill 229 that had to do with the elimination of state-mandated teacher sick days and sabbatical leaves, proposing that those become part of collective bargaining agreements. Now, these just only passed out of committee. They've got a long way to go before they gain serious traction, but we did discuss that because they had passed out of the Ed Committee. Agenda item number 4, Chuck gave a quick review of the Delaware County Intermediate Unit Education Funding Press Conference that we attended along with Lydia and several of the administrators last month. And agenda item number 5, Michelle Deco gave a quick summary of the impact to Radnor of Governor Wolf's February 7th proposed 2017-18 budget. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, March 14th at 4 o'clock, and we're planning to be joined by Adrian Irving from the Delaware County Intermediate Unit, who is hopefully going to give us a school choice voucher system 101 presentation to better familiarize us with this very hot federal and state education topic right now. So we hope if you're interested in learning more about that, you'll join us for the meeting on the 14th.
Thanks, Amy. Next, we'll move to our consent agenda. Although board action is required, it is generally unnecessary to hold discussion on these items. With the consent of all members, they are therefore grouped and approval is given in one motion. In the event a board member wants to discuss any item, the board president will move it to an appropriate place on the agenda. Does anybody want to pull any items?
4. It's 4. Sorry.
4. Great. Anybody else? I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda less item number 4.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Number 4.
So I pulled that just to clarify. I was not able to be in attendance at the Finance Committee meeting, and I would just like to clarify, I don't know if it was discussed there, in adopting the board docs, which I support having things that make the work of the administrators in the district easier, definitely support that, but I do want to make sure that I'm still going to be able to get paper packets. I need my papers, and I just want to make sure that in going to board docs, we're not moving to an electronic system that's going to not allow us to have paper packets.
Yes, the administration is open to still providing, with all the time and energy board members do put into being a board member and all the work that you do. If there are board members who would still like paper copies of things, we will still provide that. We are hoping that the board docs will provide efficiencies in other ways, just a matter of how the administration prepares the documentation and prepares the work. We're hoping there will be greater efficiencies with that. But yes, we can still provide paper copies.
With that, I move we approve number 4.
Hold on,
Lydia, do you have
I have to explain that I'm not going to vote on this. I have to abstain from item 4 as an employee of the DCIU.
Thank you.
Oh, and Chuck maybe has to recuse. I'm sorry, Chuck maybe has to recuse himself for number 14.
We didn't pull 14, we already voted it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So with that, I move we approve number 4.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, great. Moving right along. Next, we will move to our reports from board liaisons. Representatives may report on items pertinent to school district business. Delaware County Community College. Is that Pat?
Thank you. The liaison committee met on January 25th. The Delaware County Community College has announced the selection of Dr. L. Joy Gates Black as the new president. She is currently the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs and Student Success at the Torrent Community College in Fort Worth, Texas. She was voted in by unanimous vote of the Board of Trustees of the Community College to succeed Dr. Jerry Parker, who will retire as of June 30th after 40 years of service to the college. So that's their big announcement. Also at our meeting, we received a report on workforce and development and STEM, which is a corporate training initiative by the community college. It's a small part of what they do, but very successful. They offer this to corporations who want specific types of training, particularly in STEM, and they go out and serve various industries. We also received an update on the budget, and I believe there might be a recalculation. Michelle's, well, we'll be handling that later. And our next meeting will be in March. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lydia. Next is the DCIU. I believe that is Patty, and she's not here, so we'll move to Federal Relations Network.
Yes, I did attend the Advocacy Institute, and we're still pushing for continued support for public education. Is really what we're pushing for now. We're a little concerned, about the directions that we may be going as far as vouchers and as far as charters and different things like that. So that's some of the things that we talked about at the Institute. Going there, I've probably been there for about 16 years. And originally, when I began to go there, when vouchers were discussed, it was the discussion didn't go very far. Now we're discussing at the convention that I was at, the discussion was we need to look at what we're doing everywhere and what's the best thing that we can do for the students of the United States. So it has shifted a little bit. And I think public education is being challenged now around America, and we need to do what we can do for our district to make sure our kids are treated the right way and get the education that they deserve. And that's part of what we're doing. And we hope that if each individual district does that and it adds together, then America will be fine. So that's it.
Thanks, Chuck. Next is the IU Legislative Council and PSBA.
Actually, I'm on that one too.
Terrific.
They're kind of all related in a sense. We're concerned about the lack of involvement that we have at these meetings, the IU Legislative Council, so we're trying to encourage the districts to send more people there, to send the superintendents, which I'll reach out to you the next one we have and invite you to that to attend. I know Kevin Kane, who's not here tonight, he's showed some interest in going there to find out the different things that we're doing as far as legislatively. So it was a very active council in the past. We're trying to regain that excitement and move it forward. So I'll have more to report on that later.
Thanks, Chuck. Next will be Parks and Recreation. You're going to take that one too, Nick?
No, because he missed the meeting. I went. So- Chuck, where are you? The Parks and Rec Board met February 9th, and we covered several things. A lot of it was boilerplate, but I do want to highlight that we had a very nice presentation about the Special Ed Basketball League and a report on how the games and practices have been going. So I was happy to hear from you ladies this morning, Margaret and all, because it really has been very well received, and the coaches that are working, it's very, very positive. So for all who can get out to a game on Sunday afternoon, that would be a great thing to do. We also got an update on, at least the one that struck me as most significant, was the Clemacrone Park upgrade. And yeah, we're not going to make an April finish for that. But the major need for that park to be finished is for the 4th of July parade, and the sense of things is that that should not be an issue. And then finally, the other major thing that we talked about is this Radnor Trail extension that's proposed from the Willows parking lot area all the way down to the area where the Boy Scouts are along Darby Paoli Road. And we had a fairly extensive presentation by the folks from Natural Lands Trust who are working on the concept plan. There is a lot of discussion to go before this moves ahead, but I would encourage you, if you're interested in this sort of thing, to pay attention. There's discussion about parking and where do things go, and a lot about parking. And the actual mapping of the trails, and fencing, and cows, and there's just a lot going on there. So if you're interested in that, tune in to what's on the website and available, and consider coming to one of our meetings. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. PTO Coordinating Council.
The PTO Coordinating Council met on February 13th, and it was, again, Mr. Batchelor was the guest of honor, and he had a chance to talk to not just the PTO presidents, but other officers who attended, so that was really nice for them to have that chance to meet him. They also gave Mr. Batchelor some background on the things that the PTOs do here in Radnor, both as on a school-by-school basis and some of the many district-wide initiatives that they're now doing together. Also at the meeting, Mr. Petiti got some input from the PTO leadership about his communications policy that he's building. So he let them know that a survey would be coming out shortly, a survey for parents on the state of communications, and went over a few questions with them. There was also a report out by the PTO presidents on the first ever district-wide MLK Day. Mr. Robarczyk, I don't think was there, but we did talk about volunteer clearances, if I remember correctly, Dr. McGuigan. So the volunteer clearances continue to have questions attached to them, particularly in light of the overnight trip to Camp Canadensis coming up sooner rather than later. And Radnor will be offering mandated reporter training, or did offer, March 4th. Is that still this weekend? There will be mandated reporter training this Saturday, March 4th at Radnor High School in the Black Box Theater. And I believe that any parent attending an overnight trip must go to that if at all possible, and there can be alternate arrangements made if for some reason you can't make it to that meeting. But you do need to have the training to be a chaperone. And then the instructional calendar for 2017-18 was shared by Dr. McGuigan with the PTO presidents just to get their feedback on some of the notable changes from last year to this year. And the last conversation, I think, was about the joint PTO meeting tomorrow night that we referenced. The meeting will include a welcome from Michelle Leonard, who is the district-wide initiatives chairperson on behalf of the PTOs and PTSA. Dave Falcone will introduce Mr. Batchelor. Mr. Batchelor will then give everybody a chance to hear a little bit more about him and take some questions. And then Dr. McGuigan is going to along with several other administrators and teachers, do a presentation on the upcoming standardized testing and give parents a chance to ask any questions they have about the standardized testing period coming up. The next meeting of the PTO Coordinating Council will be Monday, March 13th.
Thanks, Amy. Next will be Radnor Educational Foundation and the Radnor Alumni Council.
That is me. 2 weeks ago, they had the gala over at the Range Rover Jaguar dealership of the main line, and by all accounts, I couldn't be there because I had a previous engagement, but by all accounts, you people have told me it went really well. They are in the process of... I've heard that. People have told me that they are still counting the money because they've raised a bunch. And at the next meeting that we have of the REF, the REF board, which is coming up soon, we'll get a report on that, and I'll put a report on that report at the next board meeting.
Terrific. Next is the Radnor High School Scholarship Fund.
I think I reported last month that the applications are due at the end of March, and there's not really, so kids should see their high school guidance counselor for the scholarship applications.
And Radnor Page.
Oh, that's right. No report this month.
Great. Thank you all. Any new business from the board? Seeing none, the board announcements. Our next meetings, we will have Government Relations and Communications, Facilities and Policy, all on March 14th at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and 6 p.m. respectively in the Administration Building, ground floor conference room. The Curriculum Committee will meet on March 21st at 4:30, also in the Administration Building. Finance will be at 4:30 on March 28th here in the Radnor Township Building, followed by a 7 o'clock board business meeting. Next will be public comment on new issues raised or subjects developed following our priority discussion. Citizens are encouraged to address the board at this time to comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which are or may be before the board. Speakers are respectfully requested to avoid redundancy and to limit their comments to issues for which there was no previous opportunity to offer remarks. Same rules apply from the first one. We'd love to hear from you. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Great. Thank you all very much.